Well, friends, it is good to be back with you again. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, but after the 40th anniversary, I felt so energized and so excited about what lies ahead that I felt it's important to get back into the fray, get back to be doing Beyond Sunday Morning, so that we begin to think about how to take all of the wonderful things that are happening here, the exciting things that we can do together to bind us together and to carry it forward into Monday morning, into our work week, into our families where we live. How are you becoming a better disciple? How are you sharing what you have, that Easter spirit, that enthusiasm, not only on Sunday morning with people that think and look and act like you, but out into the world that is so dark and sometimes so frightening? How do we take that good news and transform the community, the mission field, the people that are around you? Well, that's what we're going to be trying to do. We're going to be looking at how we can take our discipleship, the message that we have as Easter people, the good news, and take it into a world that's still living in Good Friday world. I hope that you'll join us. Well, today I wanted to talk about experiential worship. Do you have experiential worship? And of course, what is that? Well, it's worship that goes beyond the superficial, right? It's the worship that moves from, this is what I have to do, to this is what I get to do. I look forward to it. There's a sense of anticipation, a sense of eagerness, because God is calling you to something more. And so this morning I wanted to share a couple of thoughts about perhaps how we could do that. Have you ever been into the mountains, gone for a hike? There's out into the woods, out into nature, there's sort of a feeling of nature, of connectedness. Ansel Adams, who wrote and photographed a lot of the Rocky Mountains, once said, "There is an older and a deeper power in these woods, and it is calling to me, and I must go to it." Have you ever felt like that on a Sunday morning? As you sit in the sanctuary and maybe there's a stillness, or maybe there's the buzz of conversations around you, and maybe you feel there's an older and a deeper power here. It's been calling to you to this moment, and you must go, you must respond. What that means is there's a sense of anticipation. Do you come to church anticipating an encounter with God? That you get to see things in a different way? That it isn't just about why me, but it's why now? What is God inviting you into? There's something special about that morning that God wants to connect with you. It's almost like, if you will, being a detective. What is it about my life that God wants to talk about? Maybe there's something I need to see. Maybe I need to begin to see my life as it really is, not as I believe it ought to be. Are there parts of the service when you come and you encounter and you experience the service? Are there parts of it that you celebrate, parts that touch you? Are there parts that move you in a very special way? Maybe it's a prayer, or it's a song that connects to your past, or maybe it challenges you. Maybe there's parts of the service that kind of irritate you. They kind of get under your skin and kind of going, hey, now you're into meddling here a little bit. Are there parts that can comfort you? Parts that make you feel like God knows you? Have you ever left the service and kind of felt like, wow, why were they talking to me? Are there parts that are going to challenge you and say, what is your next step? Our natural tendency is for us to want to sit down and just kind of settle into our routines and our habits. Every Sunday morning, God is inviting us to the next step. Come on, follow me. Jesus is inviting you into a discovery, into an apprenticeship. And that apprenticeship means movement. So the first thing you want to ask is, what about this service spoke to you? Because it was just for you. God has the ability during a service to speak to everybody about their own individual circumstances, to have an encounter that is uniquely their own. What is your unique encounter? Do you remember what it was? Do you remember what it spoke to you? Then the second thing is are there parts of the service that you're hiding from? Are there parts that need to be exposed for what they really are? What I found is people are masters of disguise. We love to hide behind our masks. We love to pretend nobody else but us sees who we really are, what we're frightened of. Are there parts of your life that you're hiding from that God says, I already know who you are, and I love you for that? Are there parts of your life that need to come clean? You need to confess. You need to look at them in the light of God's glory and God's grace. And then comes the real challenge, right? The service is over. You've had an encounter. What difference is it going to make? What is God giving you an invitation? Did it create what is called a crisis of faith? Something that has been nudging you, something that has been kind of gnawing at you. It's kind of that itch you can't scratch. It's kind of speaking to you about you. See, no worship service will ever leave you exactly as you are. You're either going to take a step forward and experience more of that light and more of that grace, or you'll kind of harden yourself and repel from the challenges that lie ahead. Are you going to study a little bit and learn what God is speaking to you about? Maybe through spiritual disciplines, maybe by just connecting with a friend, finding a spiritual mentor, a coach, somebody to help you in your journey. We're all on that great adventure. We're on this great adventure to discover more about the kingdom. When Martin Luther King Jr. made that great speech at the Lincoln Memorial, he said, I've been to the mountaintops and I've seen the promised land. And even though we may not get there, someday we will get to the promised land. We are on that journey. We are in that great experience of the kingdom, that wonder. Are you part of the team? Are you willing to struggle to find your place? What habits keep tripping you up? What routines do you just fall into naturally and pretend nobody notices? The challenges are uniquely yours, and you will have to respond in some way or another. Well, friends, the first thing that has to happen is we have to have experiential worship. Worship that connects with you personally, powerfully, and persuasively. Let's get that right. Personally, it's about you and God. It's not about entertainment. It's about your life in the hands of a holy God, a God that loves you. It is powerful. It changes you. You can't just see God in His holiness. You cannot sit before that cross and not be moved. But it does move you. It's persuasive. It's compelling. And it's contagious. If you're having that experience, then take the step. Join with others. You will find that group dynamic will make the world of difference. The first step is experiential worship. Hey friends, until next time, I hope that God's blessings rest upon you and that you take that first step into experiential worship. Until next time, God bless.